Hello everyone and welcome to this edition of Water Drops. Today we're going to talk about how to create common templates in InfoDrainage. So one of the major benefits of InfoDrainage is the fact that you can save most anything to a template. So what that means is that basically anytime that you're creating a new type of stormwater control or pipe or adding rainfall data, you can save that to a template file to share across your organization so that you're always maintaining that consistency in all of your drainage designs. So this workflow is for the drainage designers who are kind of doing that end work, looking to save time just on their day-to-day workflows, but it's also for project managers who are looking to standardize designs across their teams and streamline their review processes. And of course, it's also for CAD managers who are concerned with data integrity and who are responsible for making sure that their teams are running as quickly and efficiently as possible. So, like I mentioned, we're just going to go through a few of the more common templates that one might want to create in their drainage design process. So first we'll talk about rainfall data, we'll talk also about stormwater controls, and we'll talk also about some different table views that you can also save to a template for your reporting purposes. And as a bonus, we will talk a little bit about how to store and share those templates on Autodesk docs. So let's start off with rainfall data. Rainfall data is accessed in this Rainfall Manager tab at the Rainfall and Pollutants tab within InfoDrainage. So I'll just go ahead and open this up really quick. You can see here which rainfall data file you have loaded into your drawing. So I have this storm template, US example, SCS Huff _ new, quite the name title there. But we'll talk about how to kind of create some of this data and or share it out with your organization. So let's take a look at a couple of the different design storms built in here. We do have the NOAA Atlas 14 temporal distributions. So really what this means is that it just accesses the NOAA Atlas 14 website. I want to make a note that this is the newer temporal distributions that they recently released. It's not the point frequency data server. And so you are going to get those different temporal distributions, again, kind of in those 90 percentiles. You get the option to select which quartile you want as well. So just wanted to point that out. But let's say we want to create new rainfall data for a project going on somewhere else. I'll just press new here. And so now we're prompted to give our rainfall file a name. I'll name this water drop rainfall. And so now we have a blank slate. So to create the NOAA Atlas 14 distributions, we can just add those in here, zoom into where our project is located, select which return periods we want to use. I'm going to just add a couple here. This will just kind of depend on how many iterations you want to use. Typically you would do something smaller also, like perhaps the 10 or 25 year event. Again, just kind of depends on your jurisdiction. Storm durations, let's look at that 24-hour event. And then we forgot to generate that rainfall. Once that's generated and essentially pulled down, now we are prompted to select which quartile of storm we're interested in, which percentage of occurrence we're interested in. We can just go ahead and select all. This is going to create a lot of different storms, but just for example purposes, that's how you can build that out. For your SCS storm type distributions as well, you can select just which recurrence intervals you want to use here. Increase rainfall if you want, and then select these different types of distributions. You'll also have to enter in the depth that corresponds to each of these different recurrence intervals. Just going to throw some dummy data in there. And then of course you also have the option to add user-defined rainfall data information, which you can create from an IDF table, apply temporal patterns as well. If you add those temporal patterns, they'll show up here. IDF curves as well. These can be loaded from CSV files. So if I just opened and I had one of those CSV files already saved, I could load that here. But that's really how to build out some of that rainfall information. And then, so by creating that new rainfall file, or pressing new here, we created this water drop rainfall file. Any changes I've made, I can save. If I did have something already created, let's say I wanted to open this storm type, you just open it that way. So pretty basic file structure for templatizing rainfall data. Another common type of template that one might want to create in their drainage design processes is templates for stormwater controls. So over here on the right hand side of my screen, I have this stormwater control kind of view of my different objects that I have saved to this template. A lot of these that you see here are preloaded within InfoDrainage, but I do have some that I have customized, such as these permeable pavers, this green gutter type of tool, and this rain garden type of tool, which is just a template built off of a bioretention cell with some of those parameters stored in there. But this is where you'll view all those templates. It is important to note that these templates aren't saved as individual elements. They are all part of an object template file. So if I go over here to this object templates, you can see which IDTX file you have loaded in here, and that just dictates, or that just lets you know what what template you have loaded. So if I wanted to open a different template file, for example, I could go just press open, load this template file in here, and I think this is the one I actually wanted to load. Yeah, so here's one that has a bunch of other different kind of stormwater control structures loaded in here. So now that I have that loaded, I think one that I'll just point out is these ADS project templates. So ADS is, they do have their specs posted on their website, so you can go in and look at those different depths and effective heights so that you're getting the actual volume in these different in these underground detention facilities. So you could build these out and save them as a template. But let's say I were to get a different model number of an ADS underground detention facility here, for example, that let's say the effective length of a chamber was different than this 6.59, let's say it was 8.59. I can press OK. And now I want to save this as a new template of some other sort of ADS chamber. So what you'll do is you'll just go here and press add to templates. So now I have this kind of duplicate of that template here. So once I've done that, you would just go in and actually rename this template. I think I actually have to do that in the stormwater control element itself. So here, I'm totally making this up, so please don't go in and copy this. But let's say it's called that, press OK. And now I'll save this to our templates here. And I can go ahead and get rid of those duplicates in this object template viewer. So if I go to my stormwater controls, go to my chambers here, I can get rid of this duplicate one that I don't want anymore. And now I can view those different stormwater control structures that I have in my templates in this viewer as well. Another relatively common template to save are for your pipe tables. So in this build tab, we have these tables here, and this is where you can start to customize some of those table views. If you're only interested in a certain handful of parameters of that correspond to your pipes, we can, if I expand these different options here, you can select and choose from which information is pertinent to you. And then once you've done so, again, it's really similar to the rainfall data and the stormwater control templates. You can save this table configuration, and then you're prompted to decide if you want to save all those tables or only that selected table. So if I press all tables here, that's going to also save my tables for my inflow areas, junctions, and stormwater controls, as well as connections. But similar to everything else, there's kind of this unique file extension for a table configuration file. So I'll just give that a name and save it. So as we've kind of seen, one might end up with a variety of those different template files, and you want to make sure that you're storing them in a location where everybody in your team can access them, and everybody in your team can download them and use them in their drainage design. So what better place for that than on Autodesk Docs? So if I open that up here, this is kind of an example of a project space that we've been utilizing for some of our InfoDrainage demos. If you've seen us on the drainage download, that happens every other Wednesday. This is kind of, we've been using this location before, but you can see that I do have some templates up here. So I do have this storm template. This is a rainfall file that I have saved, stored on the cloud, and then also just an audit report file. I did this, I think, in another water drops video on audit reporting, but all this to say, putting them in a location like this is a good way to manage that data. Loading those different files onto the cloud is no different than loading any other kind of file type. There aren't any like direct connections. So for example, there's not anything that kind of directly accesses the cloud here. But of course, if you have that desktop connector downloaded and you did want to save something like an object templates to that location, you would just navigate to it like you would any other sort of file location on your desktop. So if I wanted to save this as, and then go to my, wherever I have those docs here. So that's in this InnoVise file on docs, project files, templates, and then I could save that object template file here. So that concludes this edition of Water Drops. Hopefully we demonstrated how templatizing data like rainfall information, like your stormwater controls and your pipe tables can help reduce unnecessary rework across your organization, ensure consistency across your organization, and comply with internal and external design standards to minimize the risk of needing to any sort of project resubmittals, and of course just keep up to date with whatever design standards you might already have in place, whether that be internally driven from a QA/QC standpoint or externally driven from a regulatory standpoint.